Alright, welcome to another edition of Google is Evil and such and so forth and whatnot. So, couple of videos this week. The interesting thing is Charnie Zazul showed up in the comments section. I haven't seen him for a lot of years. Kind of got himself into a whole domestic life thing and all that kind of crap. Had kids, whatnot, blah, blah, blah. But still seems to have retained his sense of humor, which is good. But, I have nothing good to say about the doom he's created, but whatever, people do their thing. So he is just a very interesting version of human. So I just thought I would point out his channel and say, it's probably worth a visit. Doesn't really make the long videos and doesn't, because he has a real life now and he has to do all that, has to sort of take care of business. Can't be what he was. I don't know exactly why I'm on this. Oh yeah, it's the comments. That's why. The rest of the comments are all kind of stupid, blah blah blah. Some guy ranting about Buddhist philosophy does not posit one should sit and listen to the band play on. Yeah, it does. Okay, so there's lots of different versions of Buddhism, but it basically says, it doesn't say anything about stopping the natural system. It doesn't say anything about making choices. It just has to do with ways of, doing your karma thing, getting yourself out of the mess, your soul. Okay, as if there was such a stupid thing in the first place. And it doesn't really, it metaphors a lot of things, in some way or another, like the idea that, there's a real crisis of, in the sense that everything that you leave broken will be something you'll have to live with in the future. So they sort of get that in a little way, but they don't get it in the big way, which is, obviously you're creating that future, and why would you put something in it if you haven't fixed it? I mean, if you have compromised the future for your own selfish interests, why would you subject somebody to be a slave to your mistakes, so to speak? It's like making your twin brother a different color and making them a slave in the field. It doesn't make any sense. It's illogical. So, but whatever. I don't want to argue your crap, but there's no karma. There is just a bunch of listen to the fiddle music on the Titanic. There's no other way to describe it. It's just a way of enduring personally. It's not about in any way fixing collectively. Alright, so, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to really argue that crap. So, fuck everybody else. Whatever. Commenters. Yuck. Alright, so I think I need to go here. Yes, that's today's video. Alright, so today's video was a bit of a ramble. This and that. And I did do a video earlier in the week regarding all of Piro's scummy implications. Okay. Violence ideation, whatever. That somehow I have been a promoter of violence as the solution, and violence, violence, violence. Said the words hundreds of times in the video. Trying to smear us all because of a completely incidental, entirely irrelevant association. With bizarre circumstance. One of the school shooters actually watched some of our videos. Big deal. He wasn't inspired by them. He wasn't, oh, it's all compelling and I get what you're saying and so I'll be but he wasn't carrying any flags for any of this stuff. He already had his own flags. He was a patriot of so, there's absolutely no evidence that he was in any way energized to do what he did through any conversation he inadvertently was exposed to. So the only thing I can be accused of is I didn't fix his pedophilia and I didn't fix his mommy problems, because I didn't know about them, frankly. So how the hell could I fix what I didn't even know? So, you know, it's just too stupid. But it just shows how petty, you know, that, you know, how low the opposers will go. Okay, they can't rationally defend their pro-life position, and so they have to use these kinds of slimy, slurry, bullshit tactics to try to gain a point or two, in terms of having some integrity, and they just show they have none. Okay, you know, Pyrrho would be guilty in so many ways of promoting or finding excuses for all kinds of mechanisms in society that cause all kinds of mayhem. He's a defender of drinking and drug use and all kinds of things, even though it's ruined his own personal life. You know, he's such a hypocrite, a duplicitous, silly, superficial, glib moron. But anyway, so I responded to the disgusting tactic applied by this jerk. Yeah. So I don't think we'll bother playing that one, so we'll go back to this video and play a couple of clips out of it. So it was a bit of a ramble. Got onto the subject of the right to die and just kind of pointing out, you know, there are only these certain points to understand about this thing, right? There's evolution, which is absolutely horrible. All right, it's the whole system is kill a bunch of immature models of something to perfect the genetic code. So huge number of losers, tiny number of winners, and the winners get killed anyway. Okay, so they don't get to stand on the podium very long before they're meet with the same sword in the back. And you know, it's just what's for? What all this crap for? What all this nonsense for? What accomplishment? Just to redo this, play the same songs over and over and over again, scream the same screams, you know, endure the same weepy horrors. You know, it's just too stupid. But anyway, there's the argument for this, you know, natural theory of what is the facts of our existence, and that we are robots, and that we're not doing anything but you know, mechanically reacting based on actions that have changed our topography, you know, shaped us. And without those actions that happened to us, we wouldn't be who we are. And those are just the facts. We don't make ourselves. We are made, okay, by the environment that, you know, puts little notches on us, frankly. It shapes us entirely. Yeah, I mean, that's sort of a, you know, it's sort of a meager statement that the best I can do is play with ideas that are already in the environment. I can only mix the ingredients we have, and yes, I can make some new cake that nobody made before, because I can mix certain ingredients nobody mixed before, but I won't do it because I did it. I'll do it because that's the way I have been structured to do it. And that's it. And we're all just part of this swirl of bullshit, and what swirls out of the bullshit, what finally wins as an idea and all that crap is all kind of nuanced and lost in all of this confusing and chaotic mush of ideas bouncing around. But there is a theme, in the sense that we do seem to progress in terms of we sort of figure out some truths. Now, you know, for the last 300 years, people have been saying God is dead, but we can't seem to kill it as a dumb idea. And because of idiocracy and the fact that people are celebrating the morons having more and more kids, you know, the world's getting more religious, not less religious, which is not a good thing. Just in population numbers, you'd say people born to, because the breeders are the retards, the stupid. So you're likely to be bred into, you know, by morons, frankly. Dupes, silly people. People of trivial intelligence, you know, that kind of thing. That's not a good thing. You know, but it's just a statistical thing for the moment. I mean, it can't change the fact that the facts do demand eventually that they be recognized and we pay attention to them. The falsehoods do, the corruption of the lies does eventually break the wagon, and you're forced to remodel. Using a lot of metaphors. I'm just saying that the tendency would be that we will eventually be rational beings, and we won't be living for silly, superficial, fabulistic ideas of happily ever after, and that somehow we're doing something other than just redundant drama. Okay, we're just redoing General Hospital, you know, we're just redoing the Honeymooners, we're just redoing some old formulaic horseshit. We just keep doing the formula over and over again of struggle, struggle, win, win, die, die. You know, and you know, eventually that'll be a meme. Okay, that'll be so dominant in the structure of understanding in society that you can't get too invested, you know, in your silly personal ambitions, because they really are. It's just a silly. It's just the same story being redone, and all this active performance art. You know, let's just put on videotape and send that into space. You know, fuck it. There's no point in redoing it or doing it live. The live performance is a sort of a lie. It's not, oh, that much better. You know, all that kind of crap. Anyway, there's stuff like that in the video.
Kick them out.
Probably.
You know, we give it back to them. You know, there probably are idiots. Like if you put that on the ballot, there's idiots who would actually vote for it.
Oh yeah, just pointing out that, you know, these people are so frickin', you know, they're so stupid and trivial in how they think. And I was just pointing out that if, you know, somebody suggested reintroducing mountain lions to New York City, there would probably be some idiot who would vote for it, you know.
Having like a, you know, United States flag in your brain or something.
Okay, so just talking about the fact that, you know, no matter how we look at things, we're looking at through all these symbols that we're tied to, all these notions. So I look at the world, I see the bloody evolutionary tree. You know, everything is seen through those glasses, so to speak, of what your knowledge base is and what you've been brought up in. And that's what I mean by it's just robotic. It's just a mechanical process. I was exposed to some of these biological facts early because I was curious to know, and they've been with me my whole life as ideas, and they're not going away, and they're solid and well formed and well structured and well defended as logical, and they're my identity now. They're part of who I am. They are what I am.
You know, but I mean, obviously you have to, you know, think it through and recognize that, well, no, you are not going to really know any of that happened.
All right, so I'm just talking about the fact that in my youth I was sort of more demanding in my expectations of a decent death. I would certainly accept ways of dying now that I wouldn't have accepted earlier in my life, just because of taboo notions. I mean, notions that weren't entirely sensible, fears that were sort of irrational. Like, I didn't like the idea of jumping off a building because I was like, oh man, for those two, you know, for that 1.7 seconds that I'm going to be aware of the, you know, that somehow that would be a stress. And I was like, well, it's 1.7 seconds. I mean, what the fuck are you talking about? How could you can't even acknowledge that it happened so fast. So what are you talking about? You know, but, you know, perceptions change. And so you sort of find ways of reasoning through something you are, you know, you have an automatic repulsion or you know, you have a fear of, and you can mitigate against some of that fear by reasoning and just recognizing that, well, it's 1.7 seconds. I mean, how could that be? Whatever those 1.7 seconds is, that's obviously so short an amount of time, you can't be that distressing. But anyway, it's just the idea that people should have the dignity of not having to accept a means of death that they do find threatening, even if that threat is a little bit irrational, even though the notion of the threat is not well reasoned. It still exists. There's colors you don't like, and it's just because you don't like them. You can't reason your way out of their repugnantness. Just like their smells that smell bad, you can't force them to smell good.
Or death worse than it should be. And so I've sort of, so I get...
So I'm still talking about it. So there's a section of the video that's, about there should be better ways to die.
The structure, they're all for that, and yet they're pro-life. Yeah.
So then I was talking about just the duplicity of people, and that the whole anti-abortion thing is really about an anti-sex thing. They were just against people having free sex and against enjoying sex and feeling liberated to have sex with different people and all that. That's all they were fighting. They didn't give a shit about the fetuses. They didn't give a shit about the souls. They didn't give a shit about the kids that are born to all these people that had abortions. They just couldn't care less about any of the facts, the actual players. They just resented people having freedoms they don't have. So because they've joined a religion that says you can't, whatever, dance on a Sunday, they're just trying to stop everybody else who doesn't believe in the religion from dancing on Sundays because they don't want them having the right to dance. And it's all it was about, and it just shows how little character humans have. They don't care about anything in any sincere way. They don't fight for anything sincerely. They're all just cheaters and puros.
Cutting their wife's head off or doing some other kind of stupid ass bullshit. Because they...
So then I was just talking about how, even if you get all you want, you win all your little trophies, what good does it do you? If you're still stuck in a life that you're going to find dissatisfactory in some way, and you're going to end up fucking up and doing something stupid and, losing it all and blah, 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 blah. That's how the story usually goes. Failure will find you.
Just disappears. When you're talking about drugs, it's a gateway drug. Yeah, jaywalking is a gateway crime.
Yeah, so now I'm just talking about how, these people who wish to quote mine crap and all the rest of this, sometimes you just say, let's just do this, let's get it done with. All right? Let's end it. Okay? And so, and you'll make some joke about killing jaywalkers. It's not like you're suggesting that should be actual policy, but you're just suggesting that, yes, we should do more to get people to have some respect for the demands of civilization, that we don't have a civilization if people don't invest in the civilization. It isn't going to work any other way. People have to have some idea that we are in fact in this together, and if we all take our little cheats, if we all compromise the principles here and compromise a principle there, then all of those cheats will just add up to a system that has no integrity and can't work. So, the little murders are the big murder, okay, because their volume is so much higher.
All of these are just, the next level. What's the next level of your will to break the system?
Yeah, okay. So it's everybody's in it for themselves. It's just the wrong attitude. They got to appreciate that it's a multiplayer game. It's not a single player game. And these are just tiny little philosophical ideas in the sense that they should be common to all participants. Should be able to accept the simple truth. I mean, that you really can't pretend this thing you're in is a synthetic and that you're the only real thing in it. I mean, it's almost an idea so bad and so stupid that, yes, we should, run them over on the street. Things that dumb shouldn't be allowed to play. Anyway, so that's the brief version of the video and such. So watch it if you like on the website. and the response to the evil slanders by the silly Piero and friends, and such. So that's this week, so we'll see what next week is, and such and so forth and whatnot. So till the next time, this has been donotgod.com video presentation, and see you next time and such.